Hey everybody, Scoutcrafty here again. Welcome back to the show. We have a fun show planned for you today. We're going to be working on the 1920 Singer vacuum cleaner I picked up at Elephant's Trunk not too long ago. And looks like it's going to be a lot of work, so let's get started right away. Okay, so next up, I picked this up at the Elephant Trunk Flea Market. Paid $20 for this Singer early 100-year-old vacuum cleaner. It's just fantastic. It's a deluxe model here. You see it's got the cord reel in it. I just want to do a cleanup. I don't want to do a full resto on it because that's a winter job for this kind of thing. But I'd like to clean it up and display it until I get to do the full restoration. So let's take it apart. Let's see how this comes apart because there's some interesting things about this that you could see. Like here, there's a little thumb knob here. You see that? If you turn that, this looks like that's how the shaft fits in there. And then there's two screws down here that look like, see that? That looks like that arm will come off, but there's the cord. Really well made. I mean, this thing's so nice. So let's see how this comes apart. This tube comes out of here, the vacuum. I see the bag comes out from there like that. Okay, and then it also has a spring up here. So that comes off 1, 2, 3 to take it off. So let's see what we can get apart here. Okay, the more I dive into this, the more I'm amazed at the quality of this. Now, remember I said this handle will pop off if I unscrew that, and sure enough, but I thought the cord would run all the way through. No, they put a plug. You see that? It's a special plug. See that plug? It's a special plug that you pull straight out, and the male is in there. You see it? The male plug is in there, and that's how it's wired up. Absolutely amazing. Now, we're taking things apart little by little. And over here, I want to show you this. Look at this. Again, technology and the way things were made. Now, this is meant so when you want to put the handle up and down, like on a regular vacuum, when you want to put the handle up and down, there's a little foot switch here. You see? You step on this foot switch, this pedal, and this allows the handle. If that's the upright, you step it once, it goes down to it, and then you step it again, and it goes all the way down. So there's 3 positions. You hear the clicks? Right? Check this out. Look at this. Quality. They use, over here, when you step on this, pushes this way, you see it moves it that way. And that is a bearing. There's a bearing in there that spins, 100 years old. Thing still works like unbelievable. Look at that. Just love it. Now, can we appreciate this here? These 2 bolts here, nicely made, machined bolts, open up. This pulls this way. This cord is captive in here in these clips. You pull that out, and then this gets pushed, and there's that plug I was telling you about. There's that plug. Look at that. That's just amazing. You don't see plugs like this anymore, right? And then that we can slip through this hole here, I guess. 2 small flathead screws in the front here, machine screws. Take this out. 1 screw here that's missing, but we'll replace that. The cover comes right up, exposing the motor. Now, my dad always used to say, who was big into repairing vacuums, and I'm thinking about him a lot today, but my dad always used to say, you need a vacuum to fix a vacuum, because this gets all, you see that? There's always going to be dust in a vacuum. You take another vacuum and you suck all this dust out. Don't get away from using blowers. Every time you use a blower or compressed air, it sends the dirt deeper in. Use a vacuum because it came in this way, suck it out that way. Four machine screws hold this motor housing onto the body. That pops right off. Here's your impeller. And look at that. Look how nicely this spins. Now again, now you could service the motor, the cord, everything here. You could service this just separate if you had to. And now here's the body we're going to work on. Everything is compartmentalized, and it just makes it so easy to work on. To raise and lower the wheels, this is, here you can see it says thick and thin on there. That's for your carpet, if you have thin carpet or thick carpet, okay? And this will raise or lower the wheels, and all that is a rod that pushes this axle up and down. And you can see how that works. That's all the way down, and that would be all the way up. There's a detent in here. The axle's held on here, and these wheels are held on. You can see the wheels are held on with 2 screws there. One of my concerns when I got this was I saw that this rubber bumper here was off in one area. So how am I going to get that fixed on there? Well, it turns out that this rubber bumper is held on here. You see the holes in here? It's a strip of rubber, and there are these little split, you see these split pins here? So what they do is they pass through, and then on the inside they're spread out. You can see that here. See, it's spread out over there. They're a little pain in the neck to get. I probably would rather have nuts and bolts. It would be easier, but I don't think this comes off and on too often, you know? You take it off and on, you know, very rarely, so I got to fish the rest of them out. Well, I'm glad I decided not to dive too deep into this because there's a lot of stuff here, right? But the good thing is we got most of it apart where we want to take it. All the bare castings. Now what we're going to do is clean each one up. And to do that, I'm going to use Brillo. Brillo is a soap-infused steel wool. And I'm going to go over it lightly, and you got to be careful. You can scratch the areas, but then the polish will also take out any scratches. But we're going to clean up what we can, especially castings like this. They should clean up nicely. And again, with the Brillo, and it'll clean my hands too. So let's get to that. Now, when you're doing any kind of restoration, all it is a bunch of smaller restorations. Here we have the light housing assembly, and you can see here how easily the glass pops out. Now we'll take this over to the sink. We'll wash it, we'll Brillo it, we'll clean it, we'll polish it, and there you go. You see how nicely it comes out, and now each one of these assemblies make the entire project. Now, the only real dilemma that I faced doing this project was the cord reel. I wanted to take the cord reel apart just to lubricate the reel and whatever. I could not get it apart. It was filled with dust anyway. You see, that's all 100-year-old dust, but I vacuumed all that out. Sometimes you got to stop before you get destructive, and I was starting to get destructive. I figured it came off at that point there, but it just would not come off, and I tried 50-50 heat, knocking it with a soft blow hammer. I just couldn't get, so I figured I'll just polish it in place is what I did. No big deal. But you have to know when to cut your losses and stop, because you really can damage an item, and this is something you can't get replacement parts for. So after that, we just polished it up good in place, and it looks really nice the way it came out. Okay, next up, this is coming nice, right? Now we have to, the bag here. I got to address the bag. The bag has some staining on it, I guess from age or whatever. I'm going to try and hand wash this, okay? Just sometimes soaking it will get bring back some of the color. You really won't see too much. Some of the bags they had were beautiful on the old vacuum cleaners, but we'll see what we can do. We'll hand wash it. Now I cleaned the entire motor. It is lifetime lubricated, so you don't have to do anything to it, but this light socket here, this was the gasket, cleaned that up. That goes there, and then this goes here. This is for that light bulb. We'll reinstall that. Now, the wheels and axle were in remarkably good shape, so I just took it off and used a little lithium grease to lubricate it. I don't plan to use this all that much, but you can see how nice that spins on there. Isn't that a good-looking wheel? This is the correct bulb for the Singer. It's a BA15D. Now, BA is bayonet style. D is double. If it was a BA15S, it would have just one single contact down there. But this one uses the double contact. And it pays to get more than one bulb. You know, you pay $8 for one bulb, but, you know, you can get 6 for like 18. Okay, here we go. Everything's back together and lubricated, and it's time for a test. Let's give it a quick test. Put on low. Now you know my favorite part. Remember what this vacuum looked like before we started. And we're calling this project done. Let's take a look at what we did here. We cleaned it up. We didn't do a full polish, but we got a nice satin finish on here. New bulb, lubricated everything. And you could see here we did took that emblem off and polished it up and put it back on. Couldn't get the cord reel open, but we vacuumed it out and we did the best we could with what we had. Switch is all polished up and cleaned up. That handle is just absolutely beautiful. The bag was hand washed, right? That bag came out real nice. Everything's good. The undercarriage is good. It's all lubricated. Everything works like a charm. This is just a lovely piece, isn't it? Just love the look of this thing. Okay, next up, my buddy Richie Kemp. Oh no, Richie had brought in this a couple of these clamps, and these clamps, before he got them, he cleaned them up and everything, but they were sprung. And what that means is when somebody puts too much pressure on a clamp, these are bar clamps, and what happens is that bar will bend, right? And that's what happened here. And I don't know if you could see it too good. He took off, there's usually pins here. He took them out because he knew that we're going to be trying to straighten these out. So the first thing you do when you take that pin out, there's usually a pin to stop this from falling out. But you squeeze these here. They got little springs here that catch. And if you look on this side, it's pretty smooth, but this side has grooves on it. Can you see those grooves? And so we got to keep those grooves, but we're going to take this off here to show you how sprung this is. Now this is a straight edge here, okay? Now I'm going to put this next to the straight edge, and you could see there's a big spring, right? It's somebody putting some serious pressure on here. Now, when you're going to straighten these out, first thing you want to think about is where it was sprung, okay? So a lot of times you take a smaller straight edge. Now with a smaller straight edge and a light background, that's why I have it on here, we can see if we push this straight edge against here, okay, we can see there's a bend here. And that bend originates right around here, okay, right around here. So that's one, you know, kind of serious bend there. And then we'll take it down past the 4 here. And you can see there's a little bit over here, not as much, just a little bit. So we'll just put a smaller mark here, okay, right about there. And then this part from here down, let's see, from here down seems to be pretty good. So from here down is okay. But the bends are really around here, especially over here. That's where your big bend is. So now what we're going to do, again, we're going to try and take this to the dake and push it down. You got to try and push it back where it bent from, which would be around this area here, pushing down. So that means you got to support it here, and you got to support it here to try and get that bend back. Everybody's favorite, the dake. Let's see what the setup is here. Now you can see we have the bar clamp. I like to always rest things on wood. And because especially if you're not doing any heavy bending, believe it or not, when you press it at the right spot, it shouldn't take too much pressure, because these are not considered heavy-duty clamps. They're woodworking, light-duty clamps. So we have it set up. We can move it different ways if we have to get that over that red spot, and then we're going to push it down. Now we're going to use some high-density polyethylene sheeting here. See this? To protect those grooves on top when we press it down, so that don't mar any of those grooves. And we're going to get that right over the red spot. Okay, so here's the setup. You see we're over the red spot here. We have this perpendicular to the surface here, and now what we got to do is we got to hold this top here so it don't slip either way as I add a little bit of pressure. Like I said, it shouldn't take much, but I'm going to add just a little bit of pressure right now. Believe it or not, it's about a ton of pressure, and you can see how easy this bends, okay? But you have to just keep an eye on it, and then release and watch the spring back now. See that? So you always got to be leery of the spring back. You're always going to get some spring back here. And then you're going to take it out, and then you're going to look down. You know how we always look down the clamp to see if it's bent still. And it is, but we still have quite a bit to go, but it's trial and error like this. We're going to do the same thing again here. This time I'll move it this way. Maybe you get a better view. Okay, we want to get a little bit over there. Pardon my hand for 1 minute. Okay. And you'll know right away when you start putting pressure on if you're off or something. But now I'm going to add a little bit of pressure. Again, pardon my hand. See how easily? Now I only have a little over a ton of pressure on here, but it's all about concentrating the pressure on where you want. I'm going to release. See, these are made to spring a little bit, but when you put too much pressure on it, it goes past it. So now it's just an idea of trial and error and looking down here. We got a little bit over here to do. Most of the things I do on the hydraulic press do not require a lot of weight. Most of the things I do on here only requires maybe a couple tons, 2 tons, 3 tons. See, now we got to just straighten this out a little bit. Okay. Again, watch. See it coming down? Now, metal wants to return to the way it was originally formed. So if you're off a little bit, it's okay because the metal wants to return to that way it was. Now let's, again, this is just about 1.25 tons. See the spring up? And we'll check it again. So that's basically what we're going to be doing up and down the clamp. Now, besides being bent front to back, some of these clamps had side-to-side bends, like this one here. You can see it veering off to the left. And these are a little bit easier to fix. I'll show you how on the dake. Okay, now for the side bend, it's much, much easier. In fact, if you listen closely, you could hear the dake laughing at this. Yeah, so now this is much, much easier to do because you could do this anywhere. But 2 blocks of wood here, get the bend underneath the center here, and just be careful that you don't go too far because that happens a lot. You'll go, you know, too far the other way, but it's so easy. We won't even put, I don't know, again, a ton of pressure, but you just gotta, don't go too far. You gotta check it. You're gonna get the spring back. And then we'll check it and see how it looks. You know, you just keep putting it in and out. And that's real easy to get back. We got to do another one here. And this is where it's fun. But again, you just got to take your time. Don't be too crazy. Don't go too crazy because you can easily go the other way. Ask me how I know. And then you wind up with a spaghetti clamp. Yeah, that looks real good. We got a little down here. This one here was, somebody really put some pressure on this thing. But very easy to do this one. And, well, there we go. Looking good. Okay, so in closing, it was a lot of fun. A lot of work on that vacuum to get it running right. But I'm very happy with the results. I just love that style. Next up, just a quick and my last pigeon update on those baby pigeons that you've been following along for the last month, and they're almost about 5 weeks old, and you can see how big they are now, and they're out of their coop, they're flying, they're eating on their own. Next thing, they're going to be flying outside with the parents, and that's it. I might not see them again. Sometimes they take off, and it's always nice though to raise them from a youngster all the way up to adulthood. Also, tomorrow is the Long Island Tool Meet out in Long Island, out in Smithtown, Long Island. If you're in the area, we'll get there. We'll be there from 6 to 8. That's the new hours. It's also $10, new fee. Anyway, we'll be there tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you again next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.